How's it? My name is Andre Weideman, Vitamin to my brothers. My mission is to disciple men to have a daily word and prayer time and to inspire them to return to the old school values of respect, honor, loyalty, chivalry, and love. For of these, love is the greatest. For if I have not love, I am but a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. And this is your weekly vitamin. How's it, everybody? There's one thing that's been on my mind the whole week, and I've really kind of not wanted to discuss it, not wanted to talk about it. I did a video last week, but I deleted it because I'm not sure if it's my place to say anything. But someone said to me, the Lord asks you, if the Lord wants you to say something, say it, be obedient. So I am, and it's just been niggling at me the whole time. Last week's video was more of a rant than actually just putting my opinion out there. Now, you know, opinions are like certain body appendages at the back of us. Everybody's got one. Take my opinion, don't take it. I usually try and base all of my decisions, all of my opinions, I try and base on the Bible. And this specific thing that I want to talk about, yeah, the only part in the Bible that talks anything about it is in Genesis. So what I want to talk about is, I mean, I've been reading about all the things going on in the US now. I'm only interested because both my children are studying in the US. They're both at university there. So I try and keep abreast with what's going on. And the thing that comes to mind is this. So it started with Chaz as a, I don't know, Capitol Hill autonomous zone, and then they changed it to CHOP because I think they realized that if it's an autonomous zone, they cannot get any help from the state, so they called it an organized protest. So they could still get help from the state they were protesting against, and that's fine. I mean, as far as I understand, in America, protest is protest. You're allowed to peacefully protest. It's written into the Constitution, which is a good thing. But they started out by calling it an autonomous zone. They had signs up that said, you are now leaving the United States and entering Chaz. I don't know if those things are still up. And I'm looking at this going, I don't understand. I mean, I come from South Africa back in the 80s. I grew up in the 70s and 80s there. I know what institutional racism looks like. I've seen it, I've lived it, I've been part of it. America doesn't have that, not anymore. As a matter of fact, America was a very, what do you call it, very instrumental in having the government in South Africa abolish the system of apartheid. Because they sanctioned us. Now, we being stubborn South Africans, it took some time for us to realize, hang on a bit, although we can do a lot of things on our own, we cannot survive without the international community. And trade sanctions and embargoes are killing us. But only when those embargoes started really touching the people in power did they start taking note. And then we had a referendum in 1994, 1993, I think. Anyway, we had a referendum where only the white people could vote. So so only what, probably about 4 million people out of the 54 odd million in South Africa could vote. And the referendum was the government asking us a question. They said, must we unban the ANC? And the overwhelming vote was yes, unban them. Because I think as a nation, as South Africans, we started realizing that the apartheid system was wrong. It was morally, fundamentally wrong. Now, I'm not saying this to blow my own trumpet, because you know what, that decision to do that referendum, and a lot of us will try and say, yeah, it's because we're wonderful people. That referendum would not have come along if there wasn't external pressure applied to South Africa. If America and the international community hadn't said, look, your guys' system is wrong and we are not interested in doing any kind of business with you. I voted yes, but I don't think I voted because my conscience was pickling me. I voted purely on a pragmatic sense, saying, listen, South Africa needs to step back into the world, and we can't do it the way we're doing it now. But that's not the real issue that I want to talk about. I mean, the real issue is that God worked in my heart and is excising the racial animus that was being put into me, indoctrinated into me, and which I accepted and lived with. I mean, I'm not going to try and excuse myself here. I was a racist, and it took the transformative power of Jesus Christ to change that. And the other thing I want to talk about in Chester, I know, first and foremost, there are people protesting in America that have legitimate complaints. I've listened. Now, I have no idea what it means to be a black man in America. I don't even have an idea what it means to be a black man in South Africa. I know what it means to be a white man who oppressed a black man in South Africa, because that's my background. But if we want to address issues that our brothers are facing, we need to listen. We need to sit down, shut up, listen. And listen not to respond, listen not to defend, but listen to understand. And once we have understood their issues, maybe we can start working on them. Now, I don't ascribe to the fact that all white people need to go and apologize for being white. Just as I don't ascribe to the fact that all black people need to stop or are stupid. Sorry, I don't mean to. What I'm trying to say is, all people cannot be, an individual cannot be judged by the certain group he's in. Intersectionality is an evil, evil thing to do. Go watch a talk by Dr. Vodi Bokum on cultural Marxism. But that's also not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is birthright. Now, in Genesis, Esau was the firstborn son of Isaac. Isaac was the son of Abraham. So Isaac, son of Abraham, father of Esau and Jacob. Now, Esau and Jacob were twins, but Esau was born first. So Esau had a birthright as the firstborn son. And back in those days, that meant that he inherited everything from his father. Anybody coming after him was looked after at his whim. So Esau, as the firstborn son of Isaac, would inherit everything that Isaac owned. You know what Esau did with that? He sold his birthright for a bit of stew. Now look, Jacob was a very, very deceitful little man. And there's a lot of them, a lot of what people will consider great men of faith in the Bible, which if you actually look at them, they are all very flawed human beings. God uses all kinds of people to further his plan and to further his glory. So Jacob kind of swindled Esau out of his birthright. But Esau was not, Esau sold it. And then I look at the socialists and the people in America right now that are calling themselves all kinds of names, the BLM movement, Antifa, whatever you want to call it. And they're looking at the birthright of America and they are selling it. And they're selling it to people who, like Jacob, aren't entirely honest. You know, in Ecclesiastes it says there's nothing new under the sun. I believe that. There is nothing new under the sun. It is all vanity. So I want everybody that's tearing down the history of America. Now, I'm not saying that the statues that they're tearing down should not be torn down because they are bad people that they're depicting. I'm saying you should not sell your birthright. And your birthright is everything included in America. America is the first country to abolish slavery. Don't kid yourselves about this. They didn't invent it, but they abolished it. The birthright in America is everything about America. It's the history that you got to remember. Because if you forget history, those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. And if you sell your birthright so cheaply, you're making a big mistake. I mean, I've lived in a couple of countries throughout the world now, and I've spent time in America, and I will tell you, I do not believe that America is inherently racist. I don't see any proof of that. Are there people that are racist? Sure. There's people that are sexist. My own daughter got treated very, very shoddily by a man at the Chevy dealership, talking down at her, making it very clear that he thinks she's a stupid woman. Now, if anybody knows my youngest daughter, a very intelligent young lady, very spirited, will do her own research before she talks on something or before she does anything. So for some man to just assume, because she's a young girl, that she's an idiot, he's making a mistake. Now, racism by its nature is just a generalization. Are you generalizing that everybody with that certain color of skin has certain traits? I don't believe that. I do not believe that anymore. I was taught that. I was indoctrinated into that everybody with a black skin is a savage, is not capable of human emotions, they're animals. I was taught those things. Christ showed me that those things were not true. I watched a very, very good sermon by Dr. Vodi Bocham. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. It's B-A-U-C-H-A-M, where he spoke about racial reconciliation, and he used Ephesians to talk about it. And it really made sense. There were back then two races that God had ordained, the Jews and the Gentiles. And Christ came and reconciled those two races. So there is only one race, the human race. And that human race has such a beautiful diversity. I mean, I've got a pinkish, tannish color. I have a history. I have a brother in the club that's got a lot more melatonin than I have. He has a history. And that history, that diversity, just enriches us all. And now I'm hearing that there's a guy called Sean King, I think he's the leader of the BLM movement, that is calling for the destruction of all the statues of Jesus, because that's a symbol of white supremacy. Now, hey, I'm not Catholic. I don't particularly have any affinity for any statue. But I don't think that Sean King is really concerned about the statue itself. Everything that's happening in the world, and that has happened in the world since the beginning of time, is just men's rebellion against God. Started with Adam and Eve. You know, Eve was deceived by the devil to eat of the one thing that God had told them not to eat of. And Adam was a backboneless man, like we all are, that the first thing when God asked him, "What have you done?" he blamed Eve. He said, "That woman," oh no, actually, I make a mistake. He blamed God. And then he blamed Eve. Because his words were, "That woman that you gave me." Notice what he did there. Abdicated all responsibility for the fall of mankind into sin. Now, I'm probably going to meet Adam one day, and he's going to be a much better man than I am. But everything that's happened in the world since the fall is just about rebellion against God. It is man saying to God, "I am my own God. I will not submit to you." And that's what Sean King's doing. He wants to destroy statues of our Savior because he does not want to admit that Jesus is King. Everything that's happening, all the violence and hate and that's being spewed out at the world right now is it's all about rejecting God. It's all about rejecting that beautiful, beautiful promise of eternal life with the creator of everything. The heavens declare the glory of God. There is no excuse. Everybody knows that there is a God. And everybody will worship something. Because we made that way. And at the moment, a large part of the world is just worshipping themselves. I worship Christ. Because Christ is worthy of worship. I do not worship man, because man is definitely not worthy of worship. No other religion, no other faith has God come down into his creation and died for his people. Every other religion, you got to do something. You gotta do a whole lot of stuff to get salvation. With Christ, it's already been done for you. Your sins have been paid for. Your life has been saved. Free of charge. By grace. That's what grace means. Undeserved favor. So hey, by all means, tear down statues if they look like a white Jesus. You know, I've got news for you. Jesus was a Jew. He probably looks a lot more like a Middle Eastern person than he does like a Caucasian. By all means, tear down every statue that you can find. But rather, tear down the strongholds in our hearts. Tear down those things that are stopping us from worshipping the one person that is worthy of worship. Vitamin out. Hello, if you liked the video, please do me a solid and subscribe, like, and share. Thank you, and God bless.